You know, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would ever be putting my personal life on the internet, ever, because I'm one of the most private people you will ever meet, you know. But here we are, you know, and I literally, just before I started recording this, I told myself, I was like, Ashley, you can do hard things. I have that as my wallpaper, you know, because the torture and abuse that I'm suffering is just insane. And there's a lot of other people that are going through this too. There's a girl, her name is Lisa Legg. I don't know if I'm gonna like do a shout out to her, because she's going through the same thing I am, and Ella Gorla is going through the same thing, and another guy named Andrew, he has his own channel, I think he follows me, he's going through the same thing. So all these people are being targeted, and I don't know if it's for science, I don't know if it's, you know, because my background check comes back clean, I haven't been involved in crime, I don't do drugs, you know, and it's a nightmare. Like, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist and be like, oh, the direct energy weapon thing and this and this, because I don't need to be targeted any more than I already am, you know. But it's very frustrating, because people that are more knowledgeable about it, they've explained to me that there's this whole system, and there's this like with energy weapons or something, and they can harm the body without even like touching you. Like, you can be in bed and then they could like legit cause like a heart attack out of nowhere. And it's called there's a term called Havana syndrome. I, for one, I sincerely feel that I'm being poisoned with like Mercury, possibly cyanide. I know that sounds so like you would say, why would anyone do that? I don't know. I'm still baffled by the whole thing too. I don't know, and I'm not a detective, so I can't sit here and rack my brain and try to figure this shit out. But it's so frustrating, because I'm trying to live a normal life. Like, god damn it, you know, like, excuse my language, but it's so frustrating. I'm in pain every day, and my blood work comes back clear. My blood work comes back clear, you know, so whatever this thing is, I call it the Death Star, you know, because in Star Wars they have this giant ball that shoots a laser beam out of it, and I imagine maybe looking like that, but like, I'm literally like, I'll have unexplained aches and pains, I have numbness and tingling, I don't have any neurodegenerative disorders, I have aches and pains all over, unexplained bruising, and these things that are like what they call energy weapons, it literally, like, it almost feels like you're being electrocuted and you're being zapped. And I know, for people that aren't going through this, I know it sounds super, 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 super like outlandish. You know, it sounds like unfathomable. Like, what? Oh, you're talking like, but it explains everything. You know, and I don't know how to combat that. Imagine being slowly tortured and killed with an invisible, like, energy thing. I don't know what to call it, you know, like, and it can cause heart attacks or simulate heart attacks. It can simulate, I think, strokes. But for me, I've been getting like the worst of it, literally to the point where like I get poisoned, drugged, and I think shot out with what they call like a laser beam kind of thing. I know that sounds really bizarre. I swear to God, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I've just, in the targeting individual circles and groups, that's what they all say that it is. And I've had to employ such like relaxation techniques to try to like calm myself, you know? I tell myself, Ashley, you can do hard things. You belong here. because I'm in pain every freaking day, and my blood work comes back clear unless it's medical malpractice and people are finagling with my blood work, you know. But like, I will say I have really poor posture, so I have kind of wondered if I need interventional radiology, because I slump over and there's something called thoracic outlet syndrome. So like my left shoulder is what literally it hurts I know it doesn't look that bad, but there's actually it doesn't look discolored, but if you look close enough, it is. And look at comparison to this one. This one's very fair skin colored. This one, it looks more, I know it doesn't seem like that, but you see that bump there? It's more swollen. So when I palpate it, it literally it's swollen. So I could have nerve irritation if you slump over. There's like literally it's called thoracic outlet syndrome. And I know I need to sit up straight, and that could be contributing to it. But I haven't gotten an ultrasound of my rotator cuff or my shoulder yet, because I don't have insurance. What else? I resigned from my position that I had. I know that sounds crazy, and I know people would say, oh, you need to keep a job at all costs, but to be honest, and I don't want to put a company down, I really don't, but I was told one thing about a position, that it was going to be like making outbound calls for a health risk assessment, and it was more than that. It was like more so like customer service oriented with like eligibility and verification for insurance, and I'm not really too savvy with that. I know I could have sat there and learned it, but not just that, it's just, it was bad timing for me to get this job that I got, and I'm grateful for it, and it brought me some income, but I'm also kind of disappointed because while I was trying to onboard myself and orient myself to the role, I was also am going through a really hard experience of targeting. And I know people that aren't going through it, I get it. Trust me, I had a beautiful life before all this shit happened. I had a great credit score. I had money saved in the bank. I promise you I don't do drugs. I have no desire to do drugs at all, unless you count Benadryl for antihistamines. But that's it. And I know my body. I know my baseline. I worked in healthcare. So trying to overcome basically invisible forces trying to hurt you, right? While you're trying to, because normally how I go about things is when I get a new job, I get a new binder. I have a whole system. I get a binder, and I'm a nerd, and I like to have everything compiled together in a binder. Everything from the I-9 form to the W-2 form to the orientation schedule to the rubric to core competencies that you need to accomplish within the role, everything, the training packet, keynotes, webinars, professional development thing, everything, payroll schedule. I put that all in a binder, and then I get a second notebook, like a journal, and then I take notes in that journal, and then I also make sticky notes. Like I go all out, like I'm the queen or princess of, organization, and I learned that in middle school because I went to a private Catholic school where they taught us really good organizational tips and stuff. But I make little cheat sheets of my things or whatever I need to know, and I did not get to do that at all in this role that I just resigned from because I was preoccupied with trying to survive death because that's what it feels like. Like, I'm not kidding when I say like my heart, and I'm a healthy 34-year-old young woman, but when you're targeted and you're gang stalked, these people, they do not let up. They start smear campaigns. They use, I guess, what they call as energy weapons. I don't know how it works. I'm not a scientist. I have no clue. But what I do know is that I have unexplained idiopathic aches and pains, and I have had food where, and yes, I'm not going to play devil's advocate here, but I look objectively, even for myself. Like when all this shit started and I got hacked and stuff, I literally, the first thing I did was attribute it to something mechanical. I was like, oh, my computer's heating up. The little fan is like, I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is mechanical. I got this. I will figure it out and troubleshoot it. And then my computer started being all weird a few years ago where it was like literally off and on, off and on. I'm like, okay, that's kind of funky. Like as if someone was remotely accessing it. And then I went to the log, the computer log. So when you have a computer, I've learned that every single thing you do gets logged in a like system thing. And then like every click, every whatever, like it literally gets logged in the computer. So I went to that thing and there was really conspicuous, odd stuff. And I even had an IT specialist look at my computer. He was the IT specialist for the restaurant that I was working at because my boss was like, oh, I'll have the IT guy look at your stuff. And he actually told me, he's like, oh, your stuff, like this guy's, he got into it. Like, I don't know how. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And, you know, and then he spoke to my father and then the whole thing changed. He said, oh, no, it's not whatever. So I don't know why the story changed from when he spoke to me and when he spoke to my dad, but go figure. Anyways, so yeah, I researched all this stuff and that's the first thing. So with me, with all this health stuff, I never would think about someone directly trying to harm me. I looked at it like, oh, I'm having like trouble breathing, and yes, I do know the signs and symptoms of a panic attack. Trust me. Like I've worked in a hospital, I've had panic attacks before, but it's mostly like hyperventilation where it's like, I don't know how to, like this, I feel like someone's squeezing my heart. That's the best way to put it. And I have my little pulse ox thingy here. As you can see, I'm not nervous, I'm not anxious right now, but I am in pain, and my O2 will probably be okay, but it just feels like my oxygen saturation, not my oxygen saturation, my heart is being squeezed. Oh shit. Okay, it went back up. Oh, God bless America. Look, okay, so my BPM, my beats per minute was 29 a second ago. I kid you not. And it went back up to 30, then to 44, and then, I'm not trying to shoot the bird, but there was definitely issues going on. My BPM literally just, and this is an accurate little device. I don't know if it's medical grade, but my BPM was 29 a second ago. This is real, folks. I'm not joking. Like, I'm not kidding. My BPM was 29 and my oxygen was 94. That's why I feel like my chest is being constricted and squeezed. I'm like a walking miracle. So, I feel grateful to be here. This whole thing is very bizarre. Moral of the story, never piss off anybody. You don't want to be in my shoes. And I'm willing to bear the brunt of this shit if it means that other people can get help and be saved from it. But this is just insane, you know? I try not to hold any animosity, but it's such an injustice, you know? It's such an injustice. And I haven't eaten ever since, I bought groceries at the grocery store here in Chicago. At 2 different grocery stores, mind you, through Instacart. And I don't know if it was the water that I drank or, what was it, the water or the brownies. Because Bonnie didn't eat the brownies. Bonnie ate a little bit of the lasagna, and she had some of the ice cream. Yes, I do give my dog ice cream, vanilla ice cream with no chocolate. But little small amounts. And then I did drink some of the milk, so I don't know what it was, and I don't know how anyone would be able to get pesticides, poisons, because I think I've been exposed to pesticides. Great stuff, folks. Pesticides. I feel like I'm hated. I don't know. And I don't want to throw the word government out there. I really don't. I like my 5th grade, 6th grade version of social studies of American history with George Washington crossing the Delaware River, you know, on the boat. That's my idea of government. I know that sounds super silly, and my idea of government is Washington, D.C., you know, the Lincoln Memorial, the monuments, the Pentagon, the Capitol, you know, all pretty and pristine. That's my, I'm sorry if I cry. I was just really excited when I went to DC. There was a position at Children's National Hospital for child life, and I was so excited. I was so enthralled to be considered number 1. And this is back a few years ago. And, you know I have this tendency to like over-idealize people. Like I over-idealize lawyers and doctors because I put them on a pedestal, you know, because, and that sounds stupid. I know I need more confidence than that. But I do the same thing with hospitals. And in child life therapy, you know, there's Boston Children's, according to the top 10 news, you know, whatever. There's Boston Children's, Cincinnati Children's, Children's National. I forgot what other ones out there are. I need to take, I think. You know, I felt so lucky to be, because I don't look at myself as like the smartest person ever. I don't look at myself as, I was just checking my O2. I don't look at myself as the most, you know, tech savvy, you know, smarty pants, whatever, but like, I've always wanted to work around individuals who are all interested in, you know, research, education, continuing professional development, cutting edge, you know, research, innovation, people who are genuinely interested in like the well-being of children and pediatrics, right? Like that was my niche, that was my goal, and I prided myself on, you know, what's not public research universities, but like college, university affiliated hospitals. So and I'm a nerd, I really am. Like I had all this stuff that I wanted to do as a child life specialist. You know, I wanted to push the boundaries of what, because a lot of people think child life people are play people, that they just bring like mobiles and toys to kids, and that's not true. These women are like, excuse my language, smart as fuck. And I'm sorry if the Child Life Council sees this. I don't put hashtag child life specialist on my thing, but you know, these women, I've seen women create businesses on their own as child life specialists, and they're so smart, and they come from all walks of life, you know, early childhood education, nursing, therapeutic recreation, psychology, counseling, you know, all these different things. And that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in a facility or an organization that's affiliated like with universities and stuff, because then that means that they do maybe possible grant funding for research. So when I got hired like in Philadelphia for that role at one of the most prestigious, Children's Hospital Philadelphia, like I can't, that's on the top 10 list, US News or whatever, and I got hired there. I was so elated and I felt so lucky. And you know, there's some people who, like I've said this before, there's people who count dollars. I count college credits, and I count continuing education credits. I don't care about, I know, and that's the problem. I probably repel money so much, but I just was robbed of all of that because of stupid targeting, you know, and bullies. Adult bullies, mind you. It's not children, these are adults. They're not kids, you know? And I don't know if I should record it when I'm out in the street. I do have a video when I was in Vermont, like when I was out and about with Bonnie. And mind you, I try to alchemize and turn negative experiences into positive ones. But like, it was like the cavalcade came out and like a bunch of cars with like gaskets like brrr, and kids, bicycles, and it was bizarre. And, and I loved Vermont to an extent. I really did. I loved Vermont. There's a song by Noah Kahan where he's like, I love Vermont, but it's the season of the sticks and I. Every time I hear that, like, literally. And I really did. But, like, this shit is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like, imagine being tortured every day with something, an invisible weapon that you have no control over. And, I can't save the world. And that's the frustrating part. It's not just me. I want to help other people too. Because all these people are being robbed of their lives. And no one gives a shit. No one cares. It's like, oh, it's not affecting me, so I don't care. Oh, cyanide, Mercury, who gives a shit? I do. I don't want to lose my life over this. And I'm like, is some mad scientist professor in a little, like, spaceship somewhere, like, Star Wars style, sitting there and, like, and that sounds crazy. I know that's not happening, but, like, someone's doing something. And I know there's a thing called Havana syndrome, and I don't know why I specifically would be targeted, because I'm not a diplomat. I'm not a dignitary. I'm not famous. I'm not doing, like, groundbreaking research. I literally am a basic bitch. I'm a dog mom. And and that's another thing. I haven't been able to feed my dog because I'm too scared to go to the supermarket because I don't know if the food will be tainted. Don't ask me how it's possible anyone could do that. And I don't know who I pissed off. I really don't know who I pissed off. I don't know. I treat everyone with kindness and respect. I'm the kind of person that when I get a gift, I write a thank you card. Or if someone gives me a gift, I write thank you cards personally. And I will decorate them with, like, flowers and shit, like, literally, I will be I've written notes to coworkers, like, wishing them Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, and I'll draw, like, a little freaking Christmas tree. And then I'm like, but if they're Jewish, I'll draw the menorah. Like, that's who I am. I don't know. I don't understand this whole thing. And I'm being put in pain every day. And I'm scared, I'm scared. Like, I've eaten food where, like, I'll eat the food and all of a sudden I'll feel extreme weakness all over. Like as if someone gave me, it's not, right now my hand, this is my hand right now. I can't put my hand straight. I'm not kidding. Because I think I'm being poisoned with mercury. And that affects your nervous system. I don't have Parkinson's. I can't, literally, this is my hand right now. I can't fix it. I have to will my brain to say, stay straight. And if I say do that, but that's my hand right now. My right hand is okay, but sometimes it changes. I don't have MS. I know there's electromyography or something where you can do electrical stimulation of the muscles, but this is my hand right now. I can't move my hand. Like, I have no feeling, like, I have some feeling in my hand, but I can't move it. And mercury does that. Cyanide does that to your body as well. And it's like pins and needles. And I don't think I have diabetic neuropathy. I don't eat sugar. So I am scared. And I have to tell my brain, I go, no. I tell my hand, I'm like, no, because everything starts in the brain, right? So I go, no. I can do hard things. And I say, no, hand, you're going to move. So, but, I can do hard things. I have faith in God. I know people, I feel like there's so much, obscurity when it comes to talking about God. Everyone has their opinions, people that are Muslim call God Allah, people that are Jewish believe that Jesus was a prophet, not the son of God. Buddhists have, Siddhartha Gautama. I studied world religion in college. My background is in sociology, and I have a really objective stance when it comes to all of that. I don't discriminate. I don't believe in Christian nationalism. or elitism. I believe that, you know, as long as you're not harming individuals. I mean, my denomination, my principal denomination is Christian, non-denominational. You know, but Mormons, which are I believe the Latter-day Saints, I actually saw a commercial or an ad for that recently, and I was like, oh, they seem like decent people. I'm not kidding. It was on Instagram, and I was like, oh. And there was a guy they're like, come join our group, and, you know, they were doing like a volunteer charity event or something, and they had little name tags, and I was like, I don't know. I know there's a Broadway musical called Book of Mormon. I don't know. And there's a show called The Mormon Housewives or something like that. The Untold Diaries of, I don't know, it's on Disney Plus. But my point is, everyone has their religion. Years ago, when I did do Instagram very avidly, I was very active on it because I was promoting yoga classes at a co-ed gym called Burn Boot Camp. And my tagline was, my religion is kindness, and my heart is grateful for this journey, what we call life. Very objective, very non-discriminatory, judgmental, because when you persecute someone for their faith, right? And I know there's been a lot of speculation about people, oh, the satanic thing and the cults, and anything could be a cult. Christianity could be a cult. Catholicism could be a cult. You're talking about a bunch of people worshiping one dude named Jesus Christ, who was from like years. Like, we don't see the guy, we don't know what he looks like, but everyone's praying to this guy in the sky, right? That sounds cultish. I recognize that. Even religion, I recognize that because of religion, I waited to have sex until 32 years old. I know people will go, oh, that's not true, there's no way, she's too confident in the picture. No, I just watch, I learn, and I emulate. But anything could be perceived as cultish behavior, right? But what I like to think is, I say my religion is kindness, because kindness is free. A smile is free. And you could be atheist, and you could still, there's probably atheists that are more virtuous and righteous than Catholics. I'm not kidding. There's people who are Catholic and Christian who cheat on their wives, who lie in life, step on others to get ahead, you know, pick on people, they do racial slurs and stereotypes, and then they go to church and they're like, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, and they're like, do 10 Hail Marys, 1 Our Father, whatever, and then go on your merry way. And it's like, no, take accountability. And this is coming from someone who's like, I have my little Saint Benedict picture, I have my little tiny rosary in my purse, I have my Holy Spirit card. I want to get another rosary though. There's a really cute rosary that I saw that I just, like, I'm like not the perfect Christian, but I do believe in God. And I believe that there is a higher power. What that looks like, I don't know. There's some people that believe God is a woman. There are people who believe in Norse mythology, Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology. There are people who believe in, like, I don't know if it's the Yoruba tribe, or people like in Nigeria or Kenya, whatever, who, or Ghana, or Papua New Guinea, who believe in, ancestors like, oh my God, Oshun? Is it Oshun? I don't know. Anyways, I respect people and what they believe. What I care about is that people treat people fairly and kindly. That's all I care about. That's all I care about. You see trash on the floor, pick it up. You see plastic, recycle it. You see someone homeless on the street, think of what you would feel like if you were on the street. Imagine if you lost everything. I've lost everything. But like, imagine if you lost everything and you weren't done wrong, or someone, you were a victim of domestic violence or domestic abuse or whatever, and you're a woman, woman or man, and you had no say in the matter, and you became helpless and vulnerable, and then you're out in the street begging for people to feed you, or like, think about that. Think about that. if I could give every a homeless person in the world a home, I would, in a second, in a heartbeat. No one could tell me otherwise. There's a lot of people that are homeless that are smart as shit. There was one guy I was watching a video on YouTube, and he has a PhD, and just circumstances, life circumstances. Some people get screwed over because their business partners steal from them. I knew one of my brother's ex-girlfriends in Florida. Her family, they were a victim of like I don't know if it was a Ponzi scheme, but I think it was the Bernie Madoff thing, when they lost a lot of money and they had to start over and they had to move into a condo. I don't know if it was extortion or something like that, but they had to move into a condo, like a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, or 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in Sunrise, Florida, and they had a beautiful home. And it was no Plantation, Florida, and then they had to move into a condo because people screwed them over with their stocks. So this shit happens. And when you don't have proof of it, it's even harder. Because people will look at you and they'll be like, oh, she's crazy. She made it up. She's doing it for clout. No, I don't do that. I would never go on the internet and put my personal life out on display. But my story, like, my voice matters. And here's the thing. When you don't speak up about it, and when you're introverted and you're more soft-spoken and you're the nice girl, right, the good girl, people will create ideas or perceptions of you that are false, based on false pretenses and based on false narratives that someone else created to fit their narrative. That's how it works. So I'm at the behest of whoever or whatever decided to, create lies or smear campaigns, defamation of character. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, it has to be pretty bad if someone's poisoning you, shit has to be pretty bad. And then when people gaslight you and they're like, no, that's not going on, I'm like, no, yes it is. Or maybe it's lead. I don't know. I've seen videos lately of people's, like, children's food being contaminated with lead, and I'm like, oh great, that's awesome. I'm like, we're feeding our children, with the toothpaste, with the fluoride, and that needs to have someone crack down on that. Someone needs to be brave enough to get things back on track and do things the right way. Brave, I don't want to say soldiers, but it's not easy, because then you risk your life, right? And I'm not a veteran, I'm not a soldier, I'm not a police officer. And that's why I did the video recently. I go, does it pay to be kind? Does it pay to do the right thing? You look at everyone in history that makes a mark or an impact in the world, and what they sacrifice. Like, you think of Joan of Arc, or anyone else that had a conviction or belief in something, strong. Because the world, I'm going to be honest, like, I was doing a survey recently, and they're like, how much do you believe the world's corrupt, or the government, or the United States is? And I'm like, I don't know, like, like, but there's corruption. I just don't know. I don't get why. I don't get why and how. Because someone from the top down, or someone has to approve of it, right? I don't know how this all is going to turn out. I really don't. I hate talking about it too, because when you talk about something, you give credence to it and you give life to it. And if you know about law of attraction and manifestation, if you're into the spiritual woo-woo stuff, you know that, like, what you think you attract, right? And what you dwell and focus on. What's that quote? Energy goes where attention flows, or something like that. So it's like, the more you harp on something, the more you magnetize with your thoughts and vibrations that which comes back to you. And I don't want to focus on this stupid stuff. But, like, the fact that my hand, because I know that it's either Mercury or something, or lead, and I can't even, it paralyzes you. And I have to will my hand, and I go, no. I go, not today, Satan. I'm like, not today, Satan. Can't take my soul today, bitch. I don't know if Satan is a real thing, but I say, not today, Satan. You can't have my body, you can't have my organs. And I don't have a superpower, by the way. I tell myself, no. The human mind, when you have a willpower to carry on it. I mean, look at all the people that you see movies of people who are like down and out and they get bad luck, or they're stranded in a forest or a blizzard, and then they manage to somehow make it out alive. Like, it kind of reminds me, there's a movie with Millie Bobby Brown. It's called Damsel. And it was a good movie, actually. It was very interesting because it did a little plot twist, because this royal family, it was something about a dragon, and they betrayed the dragon, and they killed the dragon's like eggs or whatever, and then they made a deal with the dragon. It's very fantasy-ish, but this royal family, they made a deal, and they're like, because the dragon's like, you need to give me royal blood in exchange for taking my eggs, my babies or whatever. So then Millie Bobby Brown, I don't know how it turns out, her father sells her off to this like royal family. And then the guy who was she was betrothed to, set to marry, it was all set up in a scheme, in a plot, because they plan on sacrificing her to this dragon in a lair. Go figure. But what they did is they did a blood pact where they cut. The maiden, the wife needed to be of royal blood. So what they did is they took the blood of the prince, the guy, the royal guy, of the elite guy, and then of her, and then they kissed, and then they put their hands together, and then as he was carrying her, he threw her into the fucking pit. And then she had to basically survive for I don't know how many days in this dragon cave lair. And I feel like I'm in a dragon cave lair. And then somehow, some way, she was able to escape, or she made a deal with the dragon, because the dragon talked apparently in this movie. And then, but I relate to it because she went from riches to rags, and she had like the most beautiful garments and dresses, and they prepared her to be, but her father literally like kind of screwed her over and betrayed her, and sold her to the family to get betrothed, and then they threw her in the pit. And then she ended up overcoming it. She like climbed her way out of the pit, and she became friends with the dragon, and then the dragon retaliated and took it out on the royal family. Go figure. I know it's like a very fantasy kind of movie or whatever, but like I can relate, because I feel like I've had to claw myself out of the pits of hell. I mean, the abuse that I've suffered is just, it's insane. So, I feel blessed to be here. I kid you not when I say that my pulse was literally at 29. I know this is not a faulty thing, but allegedly in targeting, gang stalking world, whatever, there's these weapons, and they can control your body or affect your body from a distance, and they can literally like stop your heart and cause a stroke. It's pretty crazy, and cause bruising and weakness and all this crap. And I feel blessed that I've been able to just overcome it. I just ride it out like a wave, and I'm like, Lord God, protect me. Christ Jesus, let your light shine through me. And I imagine God's love and Christ's magical goodness, permeating through my veins. And I imagine like a white light shining down on me. I know that sounds kind of weird and woo-woo and spiritual, but like the Holy Spirit, if you believe in that, that's what I imagine. And then I feel better, because I imagine God's love and Christ's power to be magical and special. Not to say that I could dodge a bullet wound, but all the things. It's interesting because everyone talks about God and Christ, right? People go to church, they worship, they sing worship songs. But then when it comes to actually employing that faith and applying it, People need miracles. They need to believe it to see it. I never once needed that. Not once. I never once needed to see something. I just knew it. Because I said, look at the way that a baby is born. Like, look at the way, you know, the veins on a leaf have, you know, and the leaves have chlorophyll. Look at, you know, the way, you know, cats and dogs exist in the world. Look at the way an oak tree stands firmly rooted in the ground with its roots, you know, deep in the ground. Look at the way that a rainbow is made. Look at the way the sky is blue and clouds form. Look at the way that lightning hits the earth, or you know, the way a scientist can create something out of nothing, or, you know, our DNA. I mean, everything. It's mystical, it's magical, and I know I didn't do that in terms of the referencing Benson Boone, but that's the truth. And how could there not be something? Whether it's a light being or energy force, you know, like you think of Star Wars, the Jedi people, you know, like lightsabers. I don't know. It'd be cool to imagine that, but that's how kind of I look at it. I am a Star Wars fan. So, in conclusion, I don't like to rant and rave and vent, but I hope people, my biggest thing is if you see someone hurting, don't contribute to that. Forget about targeting, forget about gang stalking, just forget about that. It's anyone that gets wronged, even this, like, I'll put it this way, anyone that's so cruel to contribute or exacerbate someone's trauma when they already know that someone went through trauma, whether it's a sickness like cancer or heart disease or poisoning or epilepsy. There's people who have epilepsy and they get seizures every day. Like, there was a patient in the hospital that I took care of where he had literally every 10 seconds he had a seizure. His eyes, he couldn't even move his, like, this is what pisses me off so much, bro. It pisses me off so much that there's assholes, loser assholes that are gang stalkers that get paid, and they have no fucking perspective. Because there's kids in hospitals who are fighting for their fucking life, and then you have gang stalkers who want to sit around and you know, harass you at your job and, you know, bully you. And there's a kid in a bed who can't fucking move his hands. He has to have a catheter, you know, at 12 years old or 13 years old, bedridden, who will never have a normal fucking life. But then there's gang stalkers and perps who need to drive their little cars around you with one headlight, or, you know, make up shit about you that's not true, or poison your food because they have nothing fucking better to do in their life. Anybody who knows that someone's gone through something hard and they choose purposefully and intentionally to exacerbate it and perpetuate it, I have no respect for that. And I have respect for everybody. I've experienced it recently, even at a place of work, where there was a woman and she had the most beautiful hair, mermaid hair, and during the training that I went through recently, we were doing a mock thing of like a practice, not a mock thing, a practice run of this questionnaire, and she portrayed a patron of the company, you know, like a customer, and she chose to pretend that she had every single ailment. Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I'm suicidal. Oh, I need surgery for this. Oh yeah, I have seizures. My husband's a pain in the ass. I'm like, I sat there and I'm like, I'm a person who went through a lot of shit. And I've been on the side of it where I've had aches and pains, unexplainable aches and pains, and literally heartache and depression and anxiety and PTSD. And she was making fun of it. like pretending she had all the things, like, and I go, does she know that epilepsy is like a real thing? Does she know that people get seizures and they could die from epilepsy? Do they know that does she realize that people have to be put on phenobarbital and Keppra or gabapentin to control their neuronal activity? Does she know that people have to be put on like Lipitor or warfarin and have people have chronic diseases and pain every day? Does she realize? Oh, and then one of the things was, oh, cancer was like, oh, and she's like, yep, I have cancer too. And I was like, I sat there and I was like, please God, give me the strength. And I actually messaged her directly and I said, listen, what you said was very offensive and very insensitive. And I had no problem saying that. And I was proud of myself because I never would say that. And I say that because I was actually not being like her, but I worked at a job in a hospital where one of my coworkers had diabetes. And I very innocently, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm going to get diabetes soon because I ate so many sweets. And she's like, Ashley, that was really insensitive that you said that because I have diabetes. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to like offend you in any way. And I learned ever since then, never ever make jokes about someone's health or politics or anything because you don't know what anyone's going through. And that's why I said, be kind. Because it's not funny to make fun of people that have cancer, epilepsy, diabetes, heart disease, orthopedic issues, geriatric issues, developmental delays, autism. It's not fucking funny. And this is what I mean by gang stalking, because this is what will happen in workplaces and in jobs. They'll hire people to be actors. They'll hire people to pretend, to pick on you. And I try to have thick skin, but I go, is this worth sticking around for? I don't know. I don't have pride, I don't have ego, but I have respect for everybody. And what's funny is that I look for the good. I look for the silver lining. And I said, Ashley, conclude your message to her with something good. And I said, I don't want to look at you as a bully or someone that's insensitive. I want to look at you as the woman with beautiful blonde mermaid hair and the woman who's strong and capable, who has a beautiful background for her Zoom background because she had like a beach background. And I don't know if I put her in her place, but I think I humbled her a little bit because you don't treat people like that. You don't. I've been by the bedside of children who have been 14 years old and all the parents are gathered around and they take him off life support, and I had to make the mold of his hand because that's all the parents were going to have of their fucking son who was going to die. But then you have perps and gang stalkers. I've been at the bedside of a young girl. I can say the first name. Her name is June. I don't know the last name. I'm not going to say what hospital, but she all of a sudden, I think it was 4 months old. Either 4 months old or 4 years old, she started developing seizures. And she had heart issues. She had to be intubated and sedated. And OT, PT, speech, they all came by to her room. And I had to provide sibling support. And I provided support to the parents. And the parents were so distraught because they had a perfectly healthy little girl, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she starts having seizures and heart issues. And I think she went to cardiac arrest, and then... But then you have gang stalkers. And you have assholes who make fun of people that are sick. I don't have respect for that anymore. Like, for people that are doing that. And that's why I'm doing this. Because we need to be kinder to one another. The world is crying out. Like, everyone is... I just collectively, even in other countries, I feel like things are not crumbling, but just chaos and turmoil. And it's up to world leaders to do something about that. Because they set the standard, leaders set the precedent of, they're the model of decorum, right? They're supposed to be the ones that are the examples. You're supposed to lead by example. And then that disseminates from the top down. I mean, it's inexcusable what happened to me. Inexcusable. I don't need to lose my life over this. And I'm tired of people gaslighting me, trying to tell me, oh, no, it doesn't happen, it's not happening, everything is fine. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not fine. Because we have people in Congress and the Senate, mayors, lawyers, judges, administrators, key officials who are supposed to work for the people. That's why they get voted into office, right? People, it doesn't matter, this administration, other administration, anybody. That's why you do it. You don't do it for clout. You do it because you care about the people. This is for every state, every precinct, every neighborhood, every district. It's not funny to study, I keep telling myself, I go, maybe this is a joke or a prank, maybe it's all for research. And I go, but and if that's the case, it's not funny to not simulate, but to test out the effects of emotional neglect and bullying and psychological warfare or psychological abuse on someone, to see how they react to it, to strengthen them up and toughen them up. That's not funny. And then psychologically degrade them and abuse their family or their dog and all this shit. It's not funny. And if you are somebody who has the opportunity to do something about it, please do. I don't ever want to work in politics. I never want to work in a judicial executive branch or leadership. That's not my thing. I do believe in social justice, and there's only so much I would do. I don't do protests. I don't march and whatever, because those are dangerous. But I do feel that there is a need more than ever for people to be proactive. I mean, there's so many social justice causes, or just social causes in general, that are important. And civilians, we don't really have, we think we have rights and privileges, but at the end of the day, I think they can be revoked, or you can be silenced. So there's only so much you can do. We have freedom of speech in this country, which is a blessing, because if you go to another country, they'll silence you. But at the same time, you can only say so much, unless because there's some things that people are considered dissidents or rebels or anarchists or whatever, or threats to the system, or they're too woke or too awakened, and so they need to be stifled and silenced, or and that's frustrating as well. Because if you don't fit the norm or the paradigm that people want you to fall into, they'll be willing to hurt you. And it doesn't matter. I'm gonna say it doesn't matter if you're red or blue, purple, because red and blue make purple, green. Kindness is universal. You don't have to be red or blue to show kindness and respect and dignity. Are there differences of opinion in policies and procedures? Yeah, there are. I'm slowly learning about what each side, because I never took a stance in politics. It was too touchy, too sensitive. Everyone always fights over it. Instead of just having differences of opinion, people are like, no, I want my... It's now, I feel like it's almost like people need to be right. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like people need for their party to be better, whether it's Democrats or Republicans. It's like the same thing, and that's frustrating too. Just be who you are. Speak your truth, and then you come together and figure out things unanimously and cohesively, because what you should do is put the country first. That's what a true anybody. When you're selfless and you're empathic or compassionate, you put someone else's needs before your own. That's what differentiates an empath from a narcissist. Someone who thinks about other people, and they go, how can what we do, how can our actions and decisions as lawmakers help better the future for America? It's not about what I want, or how I can benefit my budget, whether it's a billionaire or trillionaire or whatever. It's about the people. And it comes back to gang stalking. Because I assume gang stalking and targeting is a multi-million-dollar business, because some people don't make it out alive. People kill for money. People kill over differences of opinion. They kill over religion. I get it. There's extremism. I'm not going to downplay that. I'm not ignorant to that. There's religious extremism where people literally will die for their country or whatever. Not die for their country. They think that it's like nationalism, that they think their way is the best way. There's a difference between worshiping with respect and reverence. And there's a difference, between being so extremist that you're like, no, anybody who doesn't adopt my ideology or doctrine or philosophy or whatever needs to be excommunicated, and that's just stupid. So I'm going to get off my soapbox, but if you do happen to come across this video, I never liked to define myself by being a targeted individual, quote unquote, because they're just stupid. And I know that I'm way more than that as a person. And I'm not suicidal. I don't have bipolar disorder. I don't have schizophrenia. I don't have a neurodegenerative disease. I don't have any of that. I'm being picked on by, I don't know who, a group of people, 1 or 2 or 3 people, who knows? Maybe it's a cult, secret society, I don't know. I hope it's not the government, because I'm a law-abiding citizen, I pay my taxes. I paid them on a credit card, unfortunately, this year, because I owed money. I do cross the street sometimes, like when it's a green light or whatever, but there's no cars. I can't think of anything else. I've littered once. I have cheated on like a math test. I don't know if it was math or Spanish. But that's it. And workplace harassment isn't funny. Community harassment isn't funny. Drugging someone, poisoning someone, whether it's for science or not for science or research, it's not funny. Because I could die. And I don't want to die. I don't think anyone wants to pass away before it's their time, I thought my lips are really chapped. So thoughts and prayers would be very much appreciated. I try to reciprocate that by praying, myself. And whether you're red, blue, purple, green, yellow, just be kind. Talk it out. I sometimes wondered if this whole thing was political, because I don't know, because I'm not really that politically active. I didn't vote in this last election. I try to not harbor any animosity towards anybody. But I am still scared, because I don't know, I think there are forces that be in this world that can really, literally hold my life in their hands, the fate of my life. and you say, oh, leave the country, I don't really think, I think it follows. And it's almost like, I feel like God, or whatever you deem that to be, is almost like, I put you in the lion's den on purpose. It's like, you know, is the name Daniel in the lion's den? I think, I keep thinking David and Goliath, but Daniel, he was thrown into the lion's den, but the lions didn't hurt him. It's kind of like that. I don't know if God has like a hand over me or a guardian angel or something. But it's so uncomfortable. I cry every day. I'm in pain every day. I haven't, again, 2 days I've gone without eating food. Because I had a really, really scary situation happen where I literally thought I was being poisoned with cyanide or mercury. It was horrible. It's like the second time where I literally, you don't see your life flash before your eyes, but you like, you face your own mortality, and you know that like something bad is happening, and you go, what do I do about it? And I just prayed and I said, please God, and that's it. So, and that's my cue. Probably a spam call, but anyways, it'll stop in a second. But yeah, I hope, I don't know if it's the region that I'm in or the state, but I hope things change, because in Indiana it was pretty bad. I don't know why, so towards the end of it, and then here in Illinois it got really bad. In Chicago specifically. And I don't know if it's a criminal gang group of people. I just want my life back, you know. Everything was fine up until 2021. And my food was fine in Philadelphia. The hospital I worked at had the best chips I've ever had in my life. To this day, like, they're not like sopapillas, like Mexican sopapillas, but they were like very like reminiscent of that texture. And they were like so good. They were like little, they weren't Tostitos, but they were the, oh my God, it was like taco whatever day. The best freaking chips I've ever had in my life. And food. And I'm kind of bummed that I lost that experience, but it is what it is, you know. I hope I get to move somewhere that feels safer, and I get to meet people who are like-minded individuals, respectful, kind. I don't care if they're red or blue. I really don't give a shit. Like, you know, this whole thing, oh, red and conservative. I was like, in high school, I was the girl that, you know, was friends with everybody. I went to all the little groups, you know, the stoners, the musicians, the artists, the dancers, and I tried to find the good parts of everybody. Even if I wasn't like super duper friends with them, you know, like super close friends with them, I tried to find the good parts. Even if I didn't fit in, I was like, I'm gonna look for the good and make it the best that I can. So, and I fall in the middle anyways. I know people go, oh, you need to choose a side, and I'm like, I kind of fall in the middle. I have different, you know, you don't have to be, like, why do we live in a world where everything needs to be categorized? Why can't you just be yourself? It's like people that are LGBTQ, which I'm not that, but like people that, you know, they have, you know, men that like men and women that like men and women, or people that are, you know, transgender, or people that are, you know, biracial people that are biracial, you know, may not agree with it, but just respect it, you know. People need to respect each other more. Imagine if everyone respected each other. Like, I was watching the movie West Side Story the other day. I was watching a clip from it, because one of my favorite scenes, I think, what's her face, Rachel Zegler did such a good job in that movie. She was so pretty with the white dress, and I think Steven Spielberg did an excellent job in that movie. And the other guy, Ansel Igor, I don't know how to say his name, but and the guy who played Chino, what was his name? Is it Chino? Bernardo? Well, both Chino and whatever. But it was interesting because in one of the scenes where they're dancing at the gym, and I think it's Arturo Sandoval who was the trumpet player, but like the MC of the host of the dance. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a beautiful movie. It's kind of tragic at the end, though. I'm gonna be honest, it's really sad. But in the movie, there's the Jets and the Sharks. The Jets are white male Americans with like Irish descent, Scottish descent, what they call Yankees, right? Polacks, like whatever. And this is set in New York. And then you have the Sharks, which are the Puerto Ricans, or I don't know the Dominicans, but the Puerto Ricans, and they're like Hispanic, and they hate each other. The Hispanics, like I don't know, it's Mexican, Puerto Rican, whatever, they literally like hate each other. The Jets and the Sharks hate each other, and they want to fight for their turf. And the Jets feel like the Hispanic people are taking up too much of the space, you know, and turning their city into a like Latino whatever community. They wanted to preserve the integrity of, you know, the white Anglo-Saxon thing. But what's funny is that they were actually immigrants themselves, because the parents of these boys, the Jets, are actually like Irish, European, Scottish, whatever, you know, Polish, whatever. So anyways, they go to the gym, the high school dance, and they get and there's security there as well, because, you know, they don't want anything bad happening at this soiree. And they have the Jets and the Sharks with their respective partners, the girls, the females, the ladies of the men, and they have them go in a circle, one circle there and then one circle on the outside. And the guy says, oh, we're gonna do a social experiment, and then he says, we're gonna stop the clock or whatever, and he blows a whistle, and he says, when you stop, you have to dance with whoever's to the side of you. And then they stopped and they looked at each other and they're like, no, I'm not gonna dance with you. And, you know, one girl had a lollipop in her mouth, and one lady, you know, the other girls, like, and there's it's very clear distinction. Like the Spanish men and women, obviously they're a little bit more tan or in color, or they say mulato or mulatico, as we say in Spanish. And then the Jets were like obviously more white, you know, red hair kind of thing, blonde hair. And then there's Maria, who's, I guess she would be part of the Sharks, but she didn't really, I don't know, she wasn't like that character's not really part of the group gang stuff. She kind of just lives in her own world and does her own thing. And then Tony was a former, he went to jail or something for beating up someone, I think, if I remember correctly. And then it kind of gave him time to reflect on himself, and then he changed his whole outlook and attitude. But then Riff, who's his best friend, wanted to like persuade him to come back to being part of the Jets and, you know, come back to the life of the gang stuff or whatever. Mind you, 1950s, it wasn't like gang banging, but it was like, you know, 1950s gangster stuff. And they were, you know, they did vandalism, it was juvenile delinquency. They were kind of like the hood rats or street rats of New York, or Manhattan. And but Tony's like, no, I turned a new leaf. And he had this moment of like clarity of like, no, I don't want that to be my life. And then he sees Maria from across the way in the gym, and then that kind of, because of their whole love affair, it caused a huge rift in things, no pun intended, because there's a character named Riff. And then I'm not going to spoil the rest of the movie, but it's kind of like that. I feel like life is kind of imitating art or vice versa, and that's sad, because people should be able to come together and I don't know, like, be at peace with one another. I shouldn't feel like I should be afraid in Chicago, but I am. I'm scared to step outside my door. I don't know what neighbors are around me. in Chicago, you know, River North and Gold Coast is supposed to be a good neighborhood, and I feel like I'm being discriminated against. I don't know if it's my race, my heritage, that people know about me more, like maybe people know more stuff about me than I know about myself. Like I did a DNA ancestry test. I am Hispanic. It also says that I'm part Jewish or Ashkenazi Jew. And I have like a little bit of like ancestry from, it was Africa. And then, what was it? Not Romania. What was the country? Oh my God, I can't remember what it was called. It's not Belarus or something. It was like, it was some Eastern European. I know Iberia, Spain. There's Spanish stuff in there, but I know there's Jewish. I have indigenous heritage as well. Like I don't know what tribe or something, but I have indigenous background. And I don't know. I don't know if this is a racial thing that I'm being prejudiced against, but it's just it's sad. And if you have the opportunity to be a source of goodness in the world, please do that, because you know the world is already shitty as it is. No offense, I'm not trying to be mean. God, please don't spite me for that. But like, it doesn't help when you have people, and I get it. It's hard. Like I should be angry. I should have a chip on my shoulder because I feel like I was done such an injustice and wronged and all this stuff, and I still don't have that because I don't know. I want to believe that the world is inherently good and that people can choose to be kind and do the right thing. And this is coming from a person who's, I'm pretty sure I've had several hits on my life. But I guarantee you, if you sat me down with a hitman, I could probably change their heart. Maybe. I don't know. I'm convinced that if I ever got kidnapped and they like put me in the back of a van, they'd be like, throw her out, she talks too much. I don't know. I hope I never get thrown in the back of a van. That'd be very scary. Or sedated. I have been sedated in hotel rooms. But I choose kindness because it feels better. I choose goodness because it makes me happy. And I'm not gullible or naive or incredulous for believing that. And I may not be like your typical 34-year-old woman, but I pride myself on... I try to remind myself to... I tell myself, try to leave people better off than when you first met them. Because life is really finite, you know. I could literally pass away tomorrow and I go, did I do everything right? I may not have $1 to my name, but I don't know. I always said if I helped make a positive impact on one person's life, and I know I did. As a child life specialist, when I did that stuff, I know I helped several kids. I got to take care of my dog, and she's a wonderful dog. It was on my bucket list to get like a big dog, and I don't know. I think I did everything right. Not perfect. But if you have the choice, no matter what nationality, race, Asian, Black, white, European, Filipino, Mexican, you know, whether you're gay, straight, bi, trans, you know, life, I don't think God ever guaranteed it was going to be perfect, you know, the universe or the time on earth, but like, I do believe that our souls kind of have the blueprint or the idea of how to go about things. And if you don't, that means that you people are ignoring your calling or what, like, I don't know, like ignoring what your soul calls for you to do, you know? Some people are unawakened to that stuff and they think it's woo-woo and silly, but I don't. Life is so much better when you have this vast appreciation and gratitude for everything, from like the sun, you know, shining down on you and feeling the heat of that, or when it's winter time and you get to like see the snowfall. Like that was my favorite thing when I was in Vermont and Indiana. I would look out the window, and as a Miamian, I would look out the window in Vermont and in Indiana, and I would go, this is so beautiful. But mind you, it's freezing cold, and you have to get bundled up and wear the snowshoes and whatnot. But it was so beautiful to look at. And like when I would go to the park in Indiana and I would see, they had this really big lake at Riley Park, and they had like ducks all around, and it was the most like, I don't know, I was so happy when I saw that. It doesn't take much to make me happy. And when I saw the squirrels like climbing up the trees, I don't know, I get more excited about nature and like woodland creatures than people. So, and money, I think I should be more excited about money and need to make money than nature. But that's my nature. And you know, maybe if you're someone who's very analytical and left-brained, maybe you should go out in nature more. Maybe if you're someone that's right-brained, like me, maybe you need to focus on math more. Like I told myself, one of my bucket list things is I wanted to redo one of the chemistry courses that I kind of ignored when I wanted to be a PA. And I wanted to study algebra a little bit more and math, because I don't know, I feel like, and not to like gain accolades. I don't plan on becoming a professor or a mathematician or, you know, win the Nobel Prize or whatever, you know, but just for myself, to prove to myself that I can do it, you know, to enhance my soul's growth. You know, that's kind of how I go about life. I go, what can I do to expand my knowledge and broaden my horizons and expand my soul's growth? So maybe that would help you too. So, and also I will say that, like, if you are someone who leans maybe more red, or maybe if you're someone who leans blue or whatever, the best way I think in life, in anything, in my opinion, is listen to both sides of the story, and then formulate a well-informed response or opinion by gathering the facts and the evidence, by listening to both sides. You don't have to agree with it, but just listen to both of them, so that way you don't go into something you're like, but my way is the right way and that's the only way. Gather the facts, and then you build your case, and that's it. But you don't have to berate and bully people in the process of that. I don't believe in that. Now, if other people are bullying other people, then that's a different story. We don't need to go to war for that. But I will say that, like, I am someone, I think, that takes a more objective or moderate approach to things. But yeah. And if you do know someone that's being bullied, please, for the love of God, don't contribute to it. Please don't. Like, it's stupid. It's so stupid. And if you're an adult, like, that's even worse. You know, if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, like, come on, man. Like, no. Like, I was in Whole Foods the other day, and this is how gang stalking works. I was in Whole Foods, and I love Whole Foods. You know, I don't want to bash them as a company or whatever. Had nothing to do with the company. I was on the escalator, and behind me was a couple, and very loudly, on purpose, they started talking, and I had my headphones on because I didn't want to be bothered, and they go, oh, she'll never feel safe. So they said it so loud within an earshot of me, and I go, and I looked back at them, I was like, they said that on purpose to provoke me, and I was like, that's sad. Because those are the kind of people that know your life is in danger, but they try to exacerbate your fears. Instead of downplay them, they exacerbate them. And they try to rage bait you or provoke you. It's really sad. Because they'll plant certain people in your vicinity and nearby you to be in close proximity to you to try to irk you. And I just look back and I'm like, I acknowledge your existence. I know you're there, but I'm not going to let you bother me. And may God, like, just heal, you know? Like, I hope you heal, because if you feel the need as a grown-ass man to be on the escalator with me and be within earshot of me and make a comment like, she's never going to feel safe. Because I literally did a video, I think, about safety and stuff. And I was like, man, I feel bad for that girl. Because that's her boyfriend, her friend. I was like, I would never want my partner, my boyfriend, to ever do that to another girl or individual. But I can feel their consciousness. Looking back, I can not step into their consciousness, but they knew I was there. They made their presence known. and they had full intention to try to psychologically thwart me. And I just looked back and I was like, okay. Put my headphones on, went on my merry way, and I carried on. As the Brits say, keep calm and carry on. I hope I stay alive, you know, for majority of whatever, you know, but you never know. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. And I feel blessed to still be here despite what I've gone through. And if you know someone who's going through it, please don't exacerbate it. Listen to them, help them, be a support system, and find the resources necessary to make sure that they get to safety, because a lot of people's lives are being upended and ruined because of this shit. So, I'm not a social worker, I'm not a caseworker, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist. I was a child life specialist for a good amount of time, and I do advocate for children's needs. I'm not a detective or a police officer or anything like that. I'm just a regular person, and I do care immensely about humanity. And I hope that people in office and in leadership will do what they need to do necessary to get us, you know, on track and do the right thing, because it's not easy, especially when you have a lot of people in your ear trying to tell you to do the opposite. To choose to do the right thing is a lot harder. It takes courage and bravery. There's a quote that said, courage makes fear sit in a corner. So, yeah, I hope you people, if you're listening, if you're just someone, if you come across this and you're not a targeted person, I hope you have empathy for people going through it. And I hope you can help people fix it, because a lot of people's lives are being upended and ruined and abused and tortured. Some people get wrongfully incriminated in crimes. Some people have people frame them for crimes that they didn't do. And some people just get chosen and targeted at random, or they whistle blew about something. I've already been through my story about how I think it started, and I really would like to put it to rest and not have to think about it anymore, because it weighs heavily on my soul and my heart, and it's hurting my body. Like, I'm physically, I know, like, people that went, oh, you're not being poisoned. I beg to differ. If people had their way, they would try to induce Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis. So I would go blind, I would go deaf, and I wouldn't be able to move and get paralyzed. And I don't want that to happen to me. So, if you could help me or anyone else, I would greatly appreciate it. Yeah. God is good. All the time. If he ain't, then you lying. In the words of Forrest Frank, he's a really good Christian artist. And yeah, God bless, and stay safe, and please heed what I'm saying, because I wouldn't go on the internet and risk my reputation with a bunch of strangers that I don't know to, unless I deem it necessary. And it is. So, God bless. Peace.